Listening Library presents Marvel's Avengers, Infinity War, The Cosmic Quest, Volume 2, Aftermath, by Brandon T. Snider. Read for you by Tom Taylorson.
Prologue. Millions of people across the globe faded from existence without a trace. Their bodies turned to ash and scattered into the wind. There was no warning, no preparation, and no explanation. The world was left without answers. As humanity struggled to make sense of its new normal, a passionate scientist named Erik Selvig believed the event pointed to something much bigger. He slowly began assembling the puzzle pieces to determine what. Once the head of theoretical astrophysics at Culver University, Selvig had been an admired figure in the scientific community for decades. His life's work suddenly changed the day Thor Odinson appeared on Earth. This fantastic encounter forced Selvig to reconsider everything he thought he knew about the nature of the universe. Earth was now one small part of a grand cosmic tapestry. Selvig's resources expanded, his ideas became bolder, and his work fulfilled him more than ever. Sadly, it wouldn't last. Thor's brother, Loki, used a powerful scepter to control Selvig's mind and abuse his intellect for evil purposes. Innocent lives were lost, and Selvig was left devastated and confused. The experience had shattered him. The healing process was difficult and time-consuming. Slowly but surely his mental prowess returned. But with Earth's population decimated, Selvig struggled to maintain his sanity in a world without answers. Chapter 1.
Erik, are you in there? And if so, can you just open up, please?
Darcy Lewis had been knocking on the door of room 212 at the Seafarer Motor Inn for the past 15 minutes. Much to her frustration, Selvig wasn't answering. She wasn't 100% positive he was even inside, but it was where he'd said he'd be. Selvig called her in the middle of the night, demanding she join him on an unspecified quest. Normally she'd tell him to relax, that they'd talk about it in the morning. By then he would have moved on to some other pressing scientific matter. This time was different. He didn't sound like himself. His words were garbled, his voice trembled. It seemed as if he'd reached a breaking point. Being the dutiful companion that she was, Darcy got in her car and drove. That kind of dedication wasn't in her official job description, but then again, that description had changed quite a bit from the day she was first hired. The trip to New Mexico had been long and boring. Her radio didn't work, leaving Darcy with only her thoughts to keep her company. She feared the worst and hoped for the best. It took her all night, but she'd finally made it. There was no way she was leaving without answers.
Open the door, dude! I'm seriously dying out here!
Silence.
I'm going to give you 1 minute to open this door, Erik. I don't know what exactly I'm going to do if you don't open this door, but I'm going to do something, and trust me, you're not going to like it.
Darcy wiped the sweat from her brow and tried a different tactic.
What if I told you I've got gummy worms? Would you open the door then?
Her voice took on a playful, sing-songy tone. They're organic. Darcy had never wanted to be an astrophysicist. She hadn't even wanted to be a scientist. Not that she was, either. At best, Darcy was Erik Selvig's assistant. At worst, she didn't think about it. Her job began as a goof. Years earlier, she'd applied as a long shot to a summer internship. The next thing she knew, she was working for Selvig and Dr. Jane Foster, learning how to make a good cup of coffee and dodge entities from other dimensions. Suddenly, her political science classes didn't seem as interesting. At first, she was insecure about her role. She didn't have the scientific background, but she was smart and quick on her feet. That's all that mattered to Selvig. The job took her all over the world. But the long hours kept her from family and friends. Birthday party? Darcy had to work. Vacation? Darcy had to work. Though she never showed it, she started enjoying the job less and less. Selvig's erratic behavior put a strain on things. She did her best to support him, but he'd become difficult to deal with. Darcy wondered if it was time to move on.
Whatever, dude, I give up. As she turned to walk away, Darcy heard a faint rustling inside the motel room. She rushed over to check. Listen, Erik, it's time to get serious. I want you to listen very carefully, okay? When you open that door, I swear to God, Odin, and whoever else is up there, you'd better have clothes on. I'm talking 100% covered, not a hint of anything. A girl's got to put her foot down. Run around in your undies as much as you want on your own time, but I'm here now. There will be zero nakedness. Put on some pants and open up. It's hot as you know what out here. She cupped her hands around her ear and tried to hear through the door. Despite the tease of progress, she was met with nothing but silence. I bet Pepper Potts never has to deal with stuff like this. Darcy strolled over to the rusty metal railing that overlooked the motel grounds. The place was teeming with curious characters. Poolside, a woman clipped her toenails and flicked them into the water, while her husband lathered himself in cheap tanning oil. A mangy dog, possibly blind, wandered, while bumping into things and barking angrily at nothing in particular. Two twin boys, covered in dirt, played peekaboo in a mud puddle near the edge of the parking lot. Their mother and father argued over who'd clean them up. The motel's owner, Ken, did one-armed push-ups in the middle of the courtyard, looking around in between reps to see if anyone was watching. Darcy noticed a boy lingering near her in the open-air hallway, inching closer and closer. He seemed to be around 12 years old, dressed in a gray polo shirt and jeans, with a head full of tight black cornrows. She saw that he was smiling, but she couldn't figure out why. "Can I help you with something?" she asked. "Dr. Selvig is probably sleeping," he said. "He stays up all night, sleeps all day. It's his routine. He thinks he's not predictable, but he totally is. I know his patterns." "Thanks for the heads up," Darcy replied. "Do you believe in supernatural forces?" the boy asked. "Only an idiot wouldn't believe in supernatural forces." He looked her up and down. "Not that you're an idiot." Darcy was thrown for a loop. She remained silent, hoping the kid would take the hint and walk away. No such luck. "There are all these unexplained phenomena on our planet, stuff we don't understand and will never understand. But there has to be a scientific explanation for everything. That's just how the universe works," he explained. "You agree, right?" "Who are you, dude?" asked Darcy. "Sorry, I'm Felix," he said, extending his hand for a shake. "You're Darcy Lewis, Dr. Selvig's assistant, right?" Darcy shook Felix's hand. "I'm his associate, not his assistant, and this is a no-tween zone. That means no tweens within this zone," she said, swirling her fingers in a circle. "Has he told you his theory yet?" Felix asked. "Dr. Selvig knows the truth behind what happened, or at least he thinks he does. I don't know, he won't tell me. I hear him talking to himself about it at night, but that doesn't count." "You seem nice, kid," Darcy said. "But I'm dealing with a situation here. My parents are immigrants, from Ethiopia," Felix said awkwardly. "They moved here about 20 years ago, and I was born about 8 years after that. They were scientists like Dr. Selvig. Biologists, actually." "Cool," Darcy said. Her patience was wearing thin. She looked in the other direction, hoping Felix would take the hint and leave her be. "They're, gone," Felix said softly. "Because of, I'm on my own now." He shifted his eyes and shuffled his feet. "My therapist at my old school said that since I'm a prodigy, it's hard for me to communicate because I'm so smart. I have trouble relating to people because my mind goes like 1,000,000 miles per hour. That's why Dr. Selvig and I get along so well, I guess." "Erik's mind definitely goes 1,000,000 miles per hour," Darcy said. "I'm really sorry to hear about your parents. Tough stuff, little man." "Yeah." Felix looked out across the motel courtyard. Tears welled in his eyes. He wiped them away before they fell. "Sorry if it's weird that I brought them up like that. I can't help it. I miss them. The more I tell people about who they were and where they came from, the more it keeps their spirits alive. You know what I mean? Besides, the first law of thermodynamics, also known as the law of conservation of energy, states that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, only transferred or changed from one form to another. That means my parents and everyone else we lost that day are out there somewhere, just in a different form. That's a nice way of looking at things."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?